What is up, YouTube? We are back today with another video, and we're going to be continuing with our post-rotation content a little bit because it got a lot of really good reception. People really seem to like it. We're going to move on to looking at another really cool list from post-rotation, Angel Miranda's list. Now, for those of you who don't know Angel, he is a really good VGC player. The man has done a lot of amazing things. He's made a lot of world championships in both TCG and VGC. I think he's leading towards playing more VGC or TCG recently, but the guy's amazing. He's a really good friend of mine. He's the original Brown Bear. And he ended up also getting top 4 / splitting the top 4 of this 1K tournament that happened in New Jersey. That'll be the lead up to the 10K coming up. So he ended up playing a really cool Ice Rider deck that is paired with, you guessed it, Inteleon, one of the best search engines in the upcoming format, once again. So again, if you like the content, obviously like, subscribe, let me know in the comments below how you guys are feeling. I will be doing updated coverage until the 10K, and at the 10K, I will try to get a bunch of coverage of the lists I will be attending. I will be confirming in attendance August 7th. I will be there. I will be playing. I don't know what I will be playing yet, but I will be putting up a deck profile of what I played before I go play it. Hopefully, unless I change my mind like the morning of or something. I don't know. It's been a long time since I played a real event, so it's been a little bit crazy to me that I never prepared really that well before an event. So maybe I have a new innovation, new drive, but we'll see. But let's take a look at his list. So here it is. Here's his list. Again, Angel is on Twitter. I would check him out. I'm going to leave his link in the description below. He's got all of his matchups listed as well. This is a list he played: -1 water energy plus a third capacious bucket. Bucket is obviously just a very insane card at getting just water energies. It acts as a water energy. Of course, not if you have no water energy in your deck, but like it acts as a water energy. It's pseudo for the most part. So let's take a look at the list before we talk about his matchups a little bit. It's a 4-3 Ice Rider line. You don't really need a 4-4 line ever because you probably only ever need to get a 2-2 or like a 2 Ice Rider VMAX up. But having 4 Ice Rider Calyrex V, the baby, is really good because you need to get it up as early as possible. And also the baby's got a pretty decent attack. And then the VMAX you probably only need 2 at any given point in the game. There's 1 Crobat, 1 Eldegoss because just support Pokemon. But the main support Pokemon of the deck is obviously this 4-4-4 Inteleon line. Now, in the last video, I said that there was quick shooting in Peter's list, but that was a little bit of a mistake. It was shady dealings instead. But this one is actually quick shooting. I am double checking. There are 0 shady dealings Inteleon in Angel's list. It is 4 quick shooting Inteleon to help with the math because Ice Rider Calyrex hits for 250 upon discarding 2 energies. So getting 3 of these guys up means you hit for 310. And with Vitality Band, you hit for 320, which can knock out most of the VMAXs in the format in one shot. If you get 4 Inteleons up, wow, you're actually just nuts. I don't know. That seems very difficult to do because you probably eventually will prize one of these pieces. Let's look at the rest of the list. Angel plays 4 copies of Melanie, which is actually just an insane supporter. With water-type decks like this, eventually you will be using it to draw cards, getting set up. You can Melanie into your pieces. You can get Level Ball into the Melanie, onto the Drizzile, stuff like that. 3 copies of Research. The early setup does matter a lot. 2 Boss's Orders to kind of grab and get things out of the board, just knock it out. 1 copy of Leon to add your 30 damage, which does end up being like a pivotal thing. Imagine late game you're up against like an Eternatus or a Shadow Rider or something like that, but you just need that extra 30 damage and you don't have Inteleons on the board. 30 damage does make a huge difference when you're hitting for 280 and have potentially 2 pings on the board, maybe a 3rd ping as well. So that hits you 340, no Vitality Band. If you have Vitality Band, it's 350. It just makes it a lot easier to do numbers and get where you need to be with the Leon. There's 4 Quick Ball, 4 Level Ball, 4 Great Ball, and 4 Incense. The 4 Quick Ball, 4 Incense, and 4 Level Ball seem to be pretty staple in a lot of these lists that play the Inteleon engine because Quick Ball obviously is going to be very staple across the board, and Evo Incense is now our best way to get our VMAXs and evolution lines. So those I think will become very staple across the post-rotation format. Level Ball is also very, very strong at getting your Drizziles. It just acts as a pseudo trainer card, supporter card, whatever you need it to be for the time being. Level balling into a level ball, into a level ball, into a level ball. Just get a bunch of Drizziles onto the board. Seems very strong. Great Ball is a card that I didn't really think about too much in this deck, but it also seems very good just to kind of get your early setup going because early setup is really all that matters with a deck like this that can pump out a lot of damage very quickly because once you're set up onto the board, all you need to do is chain Melanies in your future turns to kind of just sweep the board, sweep whatever the threat is going to be as you keep moving. So Great Ball seems like a pretty cool inclusion to kind of find your pieces. There's 2 Capacious Buckets, actually 3 if we look at it, but that just acts as a pseudo energy card. Getting 2 Capacious Buckets, or getting Capacious Bucket basically means you get an energy card for the turn, and potentially like a discard if you can get it with Quick Ball into like Melanie or something, I don't know. But getting 2 energy seems really, really strong with Capacious Bucket. I could see the energy bucket count going either way. 1 copy of Candy is actually really smart on Angel's side because this is something that happened back with Greninja as well, where you wanted to play the full 4-4-4 line of Greninja, 4-4-4-3 actually, of Greninja. But if you prize one of the middle lines, that meant your fourth guy would just be hanging. So playing a copy of Candy just means that you can kind of circumvent one of the Drizzile lines if you don't need it, specifically at the current moment. And you can simply go into an Inteleon, get the 2 damage pings off. Seems very strong for the current metagame. Just get these pings for quick shooting up as quickly as possible to get the numbers working with Ice Rider. Now, obviously, Ice Rider has a very glaring flaw in the fact that you're weak to metal. And the last video was a Zacian V deck, so you can already tell that Ice Rider probably doesn't have a very good matchup into Zacian specifically because it's trading 2 for 3 almost at every given point. Ice Rider Calyrex's Baby's attack for 40 also sets up numbers really well to follow up into the big guy, so that's also a really nice thing. The Pierce, I think the attack is called, for 1. Also, Vitality Band, the plus 10 damage does make a lot of sense. Another card that I can see very easily included in a deck like this is Ordinary Rod, or Clara, something like that, something like a 1-of recovery card, because you might be pitching some of this line as you're going through the game, or pitching something here that might be irrecoverable. But a card like Drizzile can search out your recovery card exactly when you need it and kind of get you into a better position. So maybe an Ordinary Rod could be slotted in somewhere in here. I don't know where I would put it in, realistically speaking. Maybe in the place of the 3rd bucket. But I think Ordinary Rod would be a really good card. So let's look at Angel's matchups. He played a 60-card Mirror, won that, then went up against Shingle Strike or Shifu, which should be, on paper, a pretty bad matchup, just because they can one-shot you for little to no resources, but also they take damage from their own Single Strike energy being accelerated, so it should also be fine for you over the course of, the late game, where you can just set up and ping and maybe take them out. Again, if you're trading 3 for 3, you're probably not going to be the one who gets the first knockout. If you are, then I think you win. If you're not, you probably lose. They tied. Then they went with Shadow Rider and Necrozma V. So Necrozma V is a very interesting card in terms of just like what it does for the game. It's here. Let's pull up Necrozma V so we can look at it together and kind of talk about the card. Necrozma V, $2.40 or $1.33. Prismatic Ray 20, and then 100, 120 if they have special energy. This is a really good answer to a lot of things for 3 energy, and Prismatic Ray also helps with setups and Astral Barrage specifically. He ended up winning that, and they went up against Shadow Rider Alcremie, a matchup that I would think is Alcremie favored, but the Ice Rider deck is probably faster if you do end up going first, and you can kind of just set up the board and do a lot of damage into the Alcremie and Shadow Rider, because once the first Alcremie goes down, there's a very small chance the second Alcremie can come up and take a one-shot, because you need to discard 6 energy, which is a lot of energy even with 4 Shadow Rider in play. But if you go first as the Shadow Rider deck, you can use Alcremie to just set up your board, maybe get a one-shot somewhere, kind of just set the pace of the game. But Ice Rider does seem like it outpaces that kind of a deck. And then he went up against Zacian Inteleon, which was, I think, Peter's deck. And then in top 8, he went up against Dragapult VMAX Inteleon, which I think should be a tricky matchup on paper. Dragapult doesn't have the highest damage output, but it probably plays cards like Rugged Helmet, Crushing Hammer, etc. But you can kind of circumvent that with the Melanie that's in this deck and get the ball rolling. And they split top 4. But I think overall, the Dragapult VMAX deck could be really, really strong. Overall as well, with like what it does with like Path to the Peak and that kind of stuff. This deck isn't affected by Path too much, to be fair, so it kind of just gets the ball rolling and going. So you probably beat a deck like Dragapult VMAX because you don't care if an energy gets returned to your hand. You don't really care about all that stuff. But Dragapult probably predates off the fact that you can go like Crushing Hammer, Rugged Helmet, 130, 50, and then kind of just like play the game like that with your horror energies as well. Kind of just doing damage, being a menace to society, probably playing copies of Cheryl, stuff like that just to heal and just be rude, honestly. The deck is probably just really rude in nature, but a deck like this that can accelerate both the energies you need to attack in one turn cannot really deal with that. So Ice Rider Calyrex is one of the better cards, I think, from the rotation. Obviously, it's one of the 2 poster childs of Chilling Reign. If you guys enjoyed the content, like, subscribe, you know the drill. Until Friday, we will continue. I don't know if we'll continue with this content specifically, but I do enjoy covering this stuff, so we will continue with post-rotation, potentially go back to current Chilling Reign. I will be gone, so I will be pre-recording these videos tonight, maybe tomorrow, before I leave for my trip for a couple days. So I hope you guys enjoy the content. I've been really enjoying the support on the channel. Thank you guys so much, and until Friday.